Hey everyone, welcome to the Maegical Stories of Healing and Spiritual Gifts podcast. My name is David. I'm here with my lovely wife, Miss Megan.
Hey.
And we have such a special guest today. Sam, is it Ramsdell?
Ramsdell, yeah.
Ramsdell, singer, songwriter, comedian, also working in corporate medical sales, which actually we both did too. We worked in medical sales too.
Oh, cool.
But we've been following Sam for so long. We've been creeping on her Instagram for like so long because she is absolutely freaking hilarious.
Oh my God, David showed me.
Like,
girl, you still have me at the Fit Fab whatever box fun whatever.
Oh my God.
I was dying. I sent that to all of my girlfriends. They were all dying, and now they all follow you on Instagram.
Yay! Oh my God, that's amazing.
We just want to say thank you so much for making some time with us. Welcome, Sam.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's funny. We usually interview people. So we started a lot of our interviews off people that have had like plant-based or psychedelic healing experiences, and
or if they've healed through like
medicine, food, or health like natural ways, and
or we interview a lot of people with spiritual gifts,
gifts, stuff like that. And we've just been entranced by your hilarity and your videos, and we're like, and then as I was watching, I was like, holy shit, she has such a story, because you have a great mix. You not only put this comedy and your authentic self out there, but you're so inspiring. You have such a beautiful, cool story on top of that.
Thank you. Well, I think it's interesting. Everything you just named has a part in my story too.
Oh, that's so cool.
So even a lot of spirit, like part of my entire transformation was kicked off by an energy healer.
What?
Well, I definitely believe it.
So, and I will say too, I mean, like a lot of other people, nutrition and what you put on your body has also, I will say that was probably 50% of the journey too. My weight loss. So there's a little bit of that in my story too, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited to we're excited to dive into it. And everyone didn't see it because I started the recording. I'm trying to pull up the thing here. So no one saw this, but Sam, she also does all these Zoom calls with her animals on them, which again, we always creep on her videos.
And everyone needs to stop and follow her on Instagram right now.
Oh my gosh. We've never had a guest that I would recommend you follow more because of
everyone needs laughter right now more than ever.
Yeah.
Everyone's all like feared. It's like, I'm over here having fun. I'm baking. I'm like taking baths. Like
100%.
Yeah. And you did a thing recently too. I can't even get to the questions yet because there's so many things. You did it. Didn't you just randomly start singing out in front of your house or something? What was that?
Yeah, well, I sing in a local band. I sing a lot, and there's of course everyone's doing it on social media where they're going live on Instagram or Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
But the part that I love most about singing and about performing is like seeing people's faces. And being able to connect with people, and that's what's missing when it comes to doing the lives. Is you don't get to see, you can see them typing reactions, but and I kept seeing, and I was getting inspired by, Italy and New York City, how everyone's out their balconies and playing music and sharing their talents, and I was like, my neighborhood is, we're outside of Stanford, so it's not like we're crazy like pushed together. But I was like, what if I just made my own little mini concert, like on my front steps in my house, like of my house? So I sent out a message to like all my neighbors through like the Nextdoor app. And I was just like, would anyone care? And I had like 65 people respond. They're like, please, 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 please. So I set it up Saturday night, like 6 p.m. I just put out like a karaoke machine.
Thank you for this karaoke machine in front of her house. It's amazing.
Yeah, but it was cool. Like people just started poking their heads out the window. Like people were driving in their car and would park and listen. It was really cool. Like, and then I got to see people, were like, keep going. At one point I was gonna stop, and they're like, no, please keep going.
That's awesome.
So it was really cool. So I'm gonna make it a weekly thing actually, because so many people even after were like, there's one man who's like, he's probably 70. He lives across the street, and he was, I was out taking the trash out, and he was like, I could not stop thinking about it all night. That was the best thing that's happened to me in weeks. It was the biggest smile. So that was really cool. So I'm going to do it on a weekly thing now. And then hopefully other people will do it.
That's so cool.
If, like everyone did it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I was so excited, or we were so excited to bring you on too, was you know, I think what this world needs in a huge way right now is not just people that have all these talents, but the people that also that have a story, an inspiring story, and can authentically connect and are just putting themselves out there. You have all these traits, and you're already like, you have a great following already, but I think it's cool that we're catching you right before. You're just destined to just be huge, I feel like, for sure, just for watching you. So we're catching you probably right before the precipice of it, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, let's hope.
So, well, let's get into your story, I guess. So I guess to start out, tell us about your childhood.
So I actually was born and raised in a small town in Maine called Scarborough. If any listeners are from Maine. But small town, I mean, I had like a very normal upbringing where it was like middle class America, small town in Maine. I actually grew up, ever since I was like 4, I wanted to be on camera. Like, it's funny, like a lot of kids had this, but it was like 24/7, I wanted to be recorded, and I was singing and dancing and making up characters and interviewing people. And I mean, anything musical. I played guitar, I played piano, I played French horn, I played the trombone. Jeez. I just anything that would put me in front of people, I wanted to do. So, you know, well, I grew up with 3 brothers. So, you know, we would, most of the time, from a small town in Maine, you know, it was very much like, you know, when I think of it, it was like my growing up, my mom, it was like just on the end when like mothers were really starting to come out in corporate America. And my mom was really pushing about, you know, how she didn't want me to be like she was, where she didn't go to college and she never had a career. She was basically born, you know, like to be a mother and take care of her children. So there was always this like, from my parents, you know, this precipice that was like, all right, we love that you're doing music. We think that's great. But like, you got to think about, you know, basically like think realistically about what you want to do.
Right.
So, you know, when it came time to decide where I wanted to go to school and what the next steps were, my mom was like, listen, I don't want you to make the same mistake I did. I want you to go to school and get a business degree and get something that's actually gonna make you money. Because back then it was like money equals success, success equals money.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
So even though I was dying to go to school to do music or performing arts, something, I wanted to do musical theater. You know, I was like anything performing. My parents were basically like, it's really important that you get a degree that you could use after you get out of school. And they're giving me examples of people like, look at this person you sang with. They never made it. They're stuck in New York City waiting tables. And one of the examples that they gave me, like she was like a star in my town and someone that I sang with and did a bunch of community theater shows with. They were like, look at her. She's in New York City. She makes no money. She's living in a dump. And she had no college degree. After I graduated college, it's Anna Kendrick. Now she's like a multi.
Oh, wow.
Like,
That's funny.
Seen her on my TV and I was like, God damn it.
Thanks, Mom.
I'm like, look what you did. Anna Kendrick made it. But so, you know, so that was just kind of, it was like, and I was in a small town in Maine. There weren't like resources. Like my singing lessons teacher was the choir director.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like, there wasn't a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
To do anything with it. So I go to college, I get a business degree.
Yeah.
And college for me was really like, it was tough because I liked college and I liked being with people, but I knew that there was like something wrong and I wasn't like where I was supposed to be in a way. And I feel like that was when I turned a lot to prescription medications. And especially like, you know, people were trying drugs and I was getting into smoking and, you know, people were starting to experiment with stuff. And that was when I really like, I wasn't around people that wanted to be creative. And that's really all I wanted to do was create and perform. And it was like looked down upon. Like I went to University of New Hampshire, which is like a very, like it's a business school basically is what they're known for. So it's like, there wasn't really a creative program. Like even when I was like, oh, I'll get to college and I'll take some singing courses or something. It's like, it really like wasn't a thing. So, you know, there wasn't really, and that was when I kind of like, that was probably one of my lowest points was like my sophomore year was really like, I didn't really, like I had friends, but like I didn't have anyone like connected with on like a really deep level.
Right.
And I wasn't expressing myself the right way. And I was like, but there was also this pull where it was like, my parents were like, you're doing great. Like you're getting that business degree and you're getting great grades and you have friends. But I was like, I don't know, but I still think it just feels wrong.
Yeah.
Why am I so depressed and anxious and having panic attacks all the time? And I can never sleep. And it's like, and it was like a time where I was trying to figure stuff out. And I was like, all right, well, I don't know what's wrong with me. And of course, doctors are like, here, take this, take this, take this, numb it. You're fine. You're just a teen, you're just trying to figure it out. We're all miserable, one of those things.
Yeah.
So, and that was when, and after even I graduated, and then it was really like corporate America, got a job in corporate America. And that was like, and I really wasn't singing. I wasn't doing anything music. I wasn't doing any performing at all. Like probably the last time I sang was like when I was a junior in high school, right before my parents were like, cut it out. Like you need to start being an adult.
So many years of like built up, like your authentic self was trying to get out so bad.
Down.
But just and all those pressures. And I think people go through that, but man, that had to just be building. And you're like such a creative fireball for that to be held in. Like that must have wreaked havoc on your subconscious mind.
Totally. 100%. And I really, and it came through a lot with sleeping. Like I wouldn't sleep for days. Like there would be days and days I wouldn't sleep. And there were, I probably tried like 8 to 10 different sleeping medications. I mean, and they wouldn't even work. Like even like Ambien. Like I still would go into like these deep trances, but I wasn't really resting. And I just couldn't, I was like, and I remember even writing a note. Like I've never ever said that I was like, that I wanted to end my life at any point, but I literally just felt like I was like, my true self was being so diminished that I didn't really feel like I was living my true life, like I was supposed to do. It just was such a confusing time. But again, I was like, but I'm following what society tells me to do, and I'm doing what my parents are telling me to do. So just straight keep on the tracks. And I got a corporate job, and I did really well because I am, I'm a pretty hard worker. So I got a job in sales.
No.
Yes.
What?
It's like the one job.
You in sales?
My guidance counselors, I'm like, I need to like be around people. I need to like be like talking and train and working with people. And they're like, actually my parents were like, you be great at sales.
That's funny. Because she does medical sales.
Yeah,
too. That's exactly what we did.
We used to compete against each other at trade shows.
Yeah, we used to sit to trade shows, put up trade shows. And then I did outside sales in New York City. So literally going from doctor's office to doctor's office for ZocDoc. I don't know if you're familiar with ZocDoc, but I worked at ZocDoc. Doctor.com. Like, so I was doing the outsides, and then we met. She was traveling around the country doing trade shows at medical sales too. Yeah. So that's fits you perfectly. You got to be high energy. You got to be a connector. You probably finally got some life a little bit, at least back in that, even though it was corporate.
Yeah. And I feel you on the sleep, man. I struggled with insomnia forever. And doctors like, when I have gut issues, here, take an antidepressant. I'm not depressed. Like I have stomach issues, but I'm not depressed, and then they give me every kind of like sleeping pill out there, and none of them worked. In fact, Ambien made me freaking eat in my sleep. Like I didn't sleep. I might have taken a nap at night, but like I'd wake up and like there'd be chocolate on my bed, olives out on the table. Like I just they're horrible. Yeah,
totally.
It was they put you on.
I was on Ambien. I mean, the 6 that I was like on for probably like 3 to 4 years I was on citalopram. It's like, I think like they just like wanted me to be on an antidepressant because at one point I was taking so many different, like, I remember I would just be like, I remember I made a joke once and I was like, I would just reach in my drawer and just play like, oh, what drug do you pop this, like, I was like, whatever. To try and sleep because you get so anxious and worked up. I'm like, I'll take 4 of these, I'm just like, I'll do anything.
Well, we get that. We get it. I went through that for many years.
My God, it was miserable. So I was on, so it was citalopram. Obviously, lorazepam was like my favorite. And I went into an issue with how much I love lorazepam. Because that was like the first time that I would like chill out. Like if you want to see me not talk for 5 minutes, I need to be on lorazepam. And then and some of these I'm gonna butcher, but triazolam, that was another one that like helped you fall asleep. Ambien to keep you asleep. And then because I was eating so horribly, because that was the other thing, like something that really helped me cope too would be eating. So like that's when, you know, after college, when you're, you know, your metabolism isn't as high, and then I was doing a lot of sitting in cars and driving a lot to doctors for sales, it would be fast food, a lot of soda and candy, and I loved carbs. Like there was one day when I think I had like 4 bagels in a day. I just loved bagels. I still love bagels. I'll relapse and I'll have like 5 bagels. And then, so because of that, I was on a lot of acid reflux. So I was on pantoprazole, something like that, that helped with acid reflux. My esophagus would burn because I was smoking cigarettes. I was smoking like a pack a day. So and that causes acid reflux a lot too. So the smoking cigarettes on top of that too. I mean, I would just be sitting in the car ripping cigarettes with Wendy's French fries. So I was on, and then I started, because of that too, and the amount of sugar that I was eating, my skin broke out. So I was on prescriptions I would have patches at one point, because I used to work in the veterinary industry too, with selling to veterinarians. I was like, I had patches all over my legs, like it almost like they were breaking out in like these blisters. And one of my veterinarians was like, that looks like ringworm, because it was I just had these patches I would have it on my back, and I would hit at them so hard until they bled.
Wow.
Was it ringworm?
No.
I was like,
It was just like it was like psoriasis. It was just my skin was breaking out because I was eating so unhealthy.
Wow.
And and then I would exacerbate it because I would just itch it and itch it and itch it and itch it and itch it. Not that I can even itch, because if you look at my nails, I completely get my nails off. Add that to my list. Even now I'm like starting to itch again.
When we post this, we'll use that snapshot for your little icon photo.
Well, I always joke, I'm like, just, you know, because everyone's always like, just got my nails done, spring nails. I'm like, me too, spring nails. For like nubs. So it was, that was a good like 6 or 7 years of that.
That's so tough, man. That has to build on it. So going through that, and that is like, there's so many people that may be either are currently going through different parts of that. So there's so many people that can potentially relate to that. And you've had multiple of those at once. So at what point were you just like, all right, enough is enough? Like, what caused the change? I mean, tell us about that.
So I was like 28, and this was almost like my second rock bottom. Like I hit like a mental rock bottom in my sophomore year of college, where I was like, what is happening in my life? And some spiritually will say that's like when your Saturn return is, you know, right around 28, 29. And I really was like, you know, and again, I had everything on the list, and I couldn't understand why I still felt like I wasn't living like I almost felt like I was watching my life as a movie, you know. I just it was like, I'm not doing what you know, why am I so unhappy? Like I guess I was just so unhappy, and I didn't understand why I felt that way, because I had the corporate job, I had a boyfriend, I had bought my house, because, you know, I had done well in sales, and I did like it, because, you know, I was going out and meeting people and doing presentations, what kind of felt like performing.
Right.
But it's because you weren't doing purpose-driven work that was fulfilling.
Right, because I could care less about what I was doing, technically. You know, it's like I'm getting that human interaction, but this doesn't really make me like pop out of bed in the morning.
Right.
And feel like I'm really doing something meaningful. So I was 28, and I remember I was like, I really like got to a point where I was 50 pounds overweight. None of my clothes fit me. I literally looked in like my side drawer, and I had so many prescription bottles, and I was like, I hate being on this. I hate relying on anything really. So I was like, I hated the fact that I had to rely on all these medications. I hated that I couldn't even look in the mirror, and I just would look at pictures of myself, and I was like, who is that person? I don't know who that is anymore. And that was so scary. And I think at that point I was like, I'm willing to like do whatever. And one of my friends, she's an empath, and I met her through a new job that I'd gotten when I was 28. I moved over to human medical sales. This was moving from veterinary.
Okay.
And this girl was like, you really need some spirit work, some energy work. Like, you have a lot going on. And she was like, you should really talk to my friend. And I was like, it's a little woo-woo. You're a little very new age.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and she was like, shh, but I was like, you know what, at this point, like, what do I have to lose? Like, you know, and again, there was almost this point where I was like, I feel so dumb, because even when I said out loud, like, I'm not happy, people are like, why? You have, you know, like, your great job. You do, you know, technically from the outside, it looked like I had good health. You know, I wasn't like, didn't have anything serious other than the mental stuff going on. But so from the outside, people were like, what could you be what could you possibly be unhappy about? Like, you know, so I almost felt like ashamed that I felt that way in a way, because it was like, what? How are you unhappy? So I was like, all right, I'll talk to this woman. And she was an energy healer. And I was on the phone with her for like 4 hours.
Wow.
It ended up being 4 hours long, because she was like, you have like 30,000 souls attached that are like draining you down.
Whoa.
And so, yeah, so 4 hours, I mean, it was a lot of information, and I have books of notes on it. But I remember, like, probably the biggest thing that I took away, like, something that I never forget, is that she was like, you know what you have to do. You already know. Like, that was probably the biggest. She was like, because she got me into this state where she was like, you know, I was really grounded, and she was like, where I could basically like see myself. And she was like, listen to yourself. You know what you have to do. You know what you need to do. And like, I could see myself saying music.
Wow.
And I was like, music. And I was like, that's hilarious. I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day. I haven't worked out. I'm 50 pounds overweight. And in my head, I was like, music. But I was like, all right, what if I just like, you know, okay, all right. And I remember you know, and she also, of course, on top of that was like, you really need to focus on your health. That was probably the biggest thing, was like, you're not going to do anything unless you get your health straight, and like your mental and your physical body straight.
Yeah.
So probably like the three biggest takeaways. So I was like, all right, I'm going to really try to find some sort of nutritionist. I spoke with a nutritionist to try and get my nutrition figured out, and try and do. And the other thing too, she was like, your past body is used to, she always said, in all my other lives, I was always a man. So she was like, you actually, like, you would really profit from doing a lot of like heavy lifting. Like, I see you, like, your soul just like wants, and that's like all I do. That was how I lost a lot. 50 pounds was I lift really, really heavy. I love lifting weights, which I never thought to do, because I was like, women don't, you know, I always thought like, oh, they go on the elliptical and they run 10 miles. That's what women do to lose weight. But she was like, no, you need to lift heavy. Like, your energy, you need to be lifting a lot of heavy weights. So I started following a program where it was a lot of lifting heavy and completely changing my nutrition. And, you know, she got rid of all this negative energy that was, you know, completely taking me over, and the bonds that were holding me to my parents, and what my mom wanted me to do, and what my dad wanted me to do, and grandparents. I mean, as you know, if you guys have had energy work done, I mean, this goes back like hundreds, thousands of, you know, depending on how old your soul is. And I had an older soul, so that's why I carried a lot of this with me into this life. And so that was, I mean, the three biggest changes really. So I started, as soon as I started changing my food, which was like the biggest thing. I mean, I got off acid reflux and my itchy skin within like 2 weeks.
Nice.
Because, and I really started trying to take back on cigarettes. Like, I've done a lot of programs on taking, you know, trying to do other health, especially when I started exercising too. Like, that helped me a lot with getting off cigarettes, because I just could notice, I mean, I would get so sick working out, because I would just be coughing up, and I would see in my hand, I'm like, that is coming from my lungs. It was just, it would gross me out. So, and it was a journey. I mean, it took me an entire year to lose like 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, in the first like 3 months, that was when I got rid of a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I did it in a really healthy, sustainable way, where before it was a lot of like, you know, not eating for a week, or doing it in a really unhealthy way, and finding a healthy relationship with food, and having it, you know, one of the other things, you know, from a nutritionist, was learning about how like what you're eating is either going to toxify you or detoxify you.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
No.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and that's how I look at food, you know, instead of eating it, like even, which is bad. I mean, right now my nutrition hasn't been great because we're stuck in fat. But, you know, most of the time it is, I'll look at food and I'll be like, is this going to toxify me or is this going to detox me? Is this going to heal me or hurt me?
Yeah, medicine or poison.
Yeah, that's
right.
Awesome.
Totally. Yeah. So that was huge. And having that different relationship with food. And I would journal a lot too. And I started writing.
So that's what I was going to ask about, because something that I actually learned that helped change my life from her, and you film yourself every freaking day almost, or maybe you do every day, but on your Instagram. Like, it's this gratitude writing, like literally every day.
We do our gratitude, and then we do our affirmations.
Every morning. So how much did that play into it? And tell us about that. That is such a video of that on Instagram. It's so cool.
Totally. Well, it was, you know, it was like this journey that I was on. And I remember too, you know, one of my friends who I'd also, you know, I think that's the other thing is like finding people that have also gone through it and not recreating the wheel, like finding out how other people lost weight or went through some sort of journey and how did they do it. And one of my friends was like, I journal every day. And I also, you know, I got a life coach who really helped me kind of set some really healthy routines, and making exercise and eating healthy as part of just like a ritual of your everyday life. So I actually got a health coach last summer, so almost about a year ago. And he helped me because I even still had these beliefs in my mind, even when I started singing again, finally, and doing, you know, little by little, taking singing lessons and then doing open mics and then, you know, doing more on social media. I still had these blocks in my head that were like, I'm not good enough. Like, I'm way too old. Like, oh my God, I'm so old. Like, how, you know, like these people have like been doing this since they were out of high school and I'm out of the game for that long. Like, I can never catch up. I still had all these beliefs in my mind that I couldn't get out. I was like, if I really want to do this, like I need help with how to program this negative program, you know, get it out of my brain. So I did hire a life coach. And it was a really good investment because it was someone that I could one-on-one be open with and be like, I need help with this. I still have all of these beliefs in my head from childhood, from societal beliefs, my parents. And he helped me like come up with, you know, a routine every morning where it was, and that every single morning, no matter where I am, what I'm doing, if I'm not traveling, I wake up and I journal. I've gone through like 10 journals at this point, but I write what I'm grateful for, 10 things I'm grateful for, and I am grateful statements. And then I printed out, I call it like my little manifesto, and I have like my kind of like my objective in life, like what my, you know, my goal is, and about 10 affirmations. And I have different ones that I'll change and mix up depending on how I'm, you know, what kind of phase of life I'm in. But I read those out loud every morning. And then I'll meditate. I'll try and meditate. I wish I had, you know, I wish I did it more. That's one thing I wish I need to get back into, and doing more of that. But meditating and then exercising right after that. And I do that every single day. And that stopped me from like having a plateau or from going downhill, is having that routine. Like I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't have that built in first thing in the morning when I wake up.
Well, it allows you to be a powerful manifester. You know, once girl, I always lived like paycheck to paycheck, barely got by first part of my life for years, right? And I started learning about the law of attraction, started doing my daily like you're saying, the writing, the affirmations, the meditation, and I manifested every single affirmation I had written on that paper. I mean, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, that for me, once having that as like a structured part of my day every single morning, and it helps me too to put it on it, you know, on social media. I think I always recommend people doing that. It keeps you accountable because some people are like, oh, you didn't do your workout, or oh, someone flagged this morning. You know, people who give up. Yeah. So, you know, so when there's some mornings that I'm like, oh, I could, you know, wait, you know, snooze for 15 more minutes, and I'm like, Susan's gonna give me a hard time. I gotta get.
That's awesome. That accountability is so true. I remember I did a 5K a day every day for 100 days on Instagram, and I put it up on social. And I would say day right around 40 or 50, I was like, "Oh, this sucks." And I remember being like, "Well, I can't." Like literally, there's so many people watching, so many people commenting. Like now, it forced me to like keep doing it and get.
It was crazy, girl. We were in Europe. We were in Italy. We got a freaking virus in Italy. We were sick, he still did the dang run every day. And I was like, how are you doing this? I'm like dead.
It was like day 67 or something. I'm like, I can't stop.
You can't stop.
Then we went to Santorini.
Oh, that
from
was the
there,
worst.
where it's just like straight uphill, like stairs for days, right?
Totally first world problem we're talking about. Well, we're in
I know.
But,
seriously.
It actually was pretty. So because we got there in Greece or in Santorini, all is stairs. There's no flat. After traveling and having a virus, it was like, well, I'm about to do 3.2 miles.
Oh my God.
But he did it.
The accountability is so powerful. Like, yeah, definitely willpower is important, but just the fact of like, you're so far into it, and people are watching and you're putting it out there. I mean, social media can be such, people demonize social media, but it can be used for so much good if it's used the right way. It can be used for so much good. It's just a tool.
So much good. And it's something, and I always talk about too, like, it gets addicting too once you set a goal and then you do it. I feel like, like I did one of the first programs that I did was an 80-day nutrition
noticed that
program.
Yeah, tell us about that, because you've been killing that.
Well, it was one of the, it was this program, it was a Beachbody program, and it was, and it was something that, people had reached, I had people that were always trying to sell me on it, friends that had done it, and I was like, I was, again, this was like 2 years ago, and I was at that point where I was like, all right, I need something that's long-term, that's sustainable, that's not like a 2-week program, or 3 weeks, or a month. Like, I liked the idea that it was like 3 months.
Was it the 80-day obsessed? Because I never got through it. I remember you telling me someone is this who you're talking about?
Yeah, she's the one that,
Yes. And it was like, the idea of doing it and going from like, and that's just one thing I have for myself, is I always loved a challenge. And I do like kind of like get off by like crushing a challenge in a way. So I was like 80 days. And I was like, all right, if I can go from smoking a pack a day, not exercising in years, to doing like a pretty challenging program every day for 80 days, like, then I feel like at the end of the day, after that, I remember I bawled so hard on the last day of the workout. And at that point I had lost about 30 pounds. Wow. And I felt so good about myself. I was like, did I just do that? And it was like, I was like, I feel so good. I'm going to do it again. And now I literally, as of this Saturday, finished it for my 6th time.
6th?
Wow. I did it 6 times in a row.
6 times.
Wow, that's amazing.
Beast. That's awesome. That is so awesome.
I was like, do it a second time, and I was like, can I do it again? And then I did it again, I'm like, can I do it a 4th time? And then I'm like, I'm definitely going to do it a 7th time too. There's something about the feeling of like, once you do something like that, that's why, what it is at the end of the day.
The results too. Then you become addicted.
Yes.
Like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. There's no way you couldn't get results from working, for 80 days if you stuck to nutrition. I was like, I need something that really is going to like be a foolproof plan, even though the first time I had to modify like 90% of the time, but I still, and of course, like the nutrition was the biggest part, and it was a really dumbed down, sustainable nutrition that included carbs and cheese and the things that I loved, but it didn't starve me of anything, and there were still like some cheat days that were built in, because it was a longer program. It wasn't 2 weeks or 3 weeks where you can only eat veggies and fish for 3 weeks. It was like, it gave you a little bit more, so I felt like it was something I can do long term, which I think is why it worked so well.
That makes sense.
You're like a lucky poster for Beachbody, though. Like, you literally have done it, succeeded multiple times, and it's been an instrumental part of your journey. So obviously it works.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, for sure. That is a program I would always recommend it. And I don't really sell it. I still kind of do, but it's a lot of work. So, I'll tell anyone to do it. I can't do the alone.
No, it's hard. It's a hard workout.
Do you have like a team? Do you sell Beachbody also?
I did because it was dumb not to, because so many people were like, what the hell happened to you?
And you transformed your life.
Yeah. Literally people who from high school who, see me now, like we had our high school reunion, this is last year, and they were like, what the hell happened to you? Or people even like from college, people who've been following me, again, probably 2 years ago, I probably had like 200 followers on Instagram. For those who still follow me, they're like, your journey is, it's crazy. But it did start as as really taking care of my physical and mental health. I had to do that first. Like, I don't think I ever would have had the confidence and kind of the drive to do what I'm doing now and singing and comedy if I hadn't taken care of my physical and mental health first. I don't think I ever would have been able to, just because you have to be so sure of yourself.
Yeah. Your before and after pictures are incredible. They are incredible.
And I wish there was a way to do like an internal like before and after too.
Right.
Because, I feel like that's like that was, as
that's
big
the
as I had a
biggest,
physical change. Yeah, but like, I mean, I'm on no prescription medications at all. I mean, I think the only thing I'll take is, like supplements. Like I have like vitamin D and magnesium and natural kind of stress reliever, but that's
what a junkie.
The most.
Yeah.
I know. Wild.
Oh, I need some of that fish oil this morning.
Popping magnesium late at night.
Yeah, right. Zinc. Yes. Well, what would you say? I know there's probably a ton of lessons. What were some just a couple of the biggest lessons you've learned in your journey from where you started to where you are now? What would those be?
So the first thing is like, you got to put yourself first, like in all aspects of your life. I remember that was like a story someone had told about how like when you're on an airplane and when the masks come down, you always put your mask on first before you put on the mask for anyone else. If you're, and I was living my life being like, okay, what do my parents want me to do? What does society want me to do? What does my boss want me to do? I never was like, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's easier said than done, because even then back then it was like, okay, what do I want to do? Okay, what do I want to do? It's but you need to accept that and put, and if you're putting your physical and your mental health first, those other things will fall.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I started eating healthier and working out and doing a gratitude journal and doing all these things for my physical and mental health, then I started opening up my creative, brain and started being able to sing more. And then I got more confidence in my singing. And then I got the confidence to start going to more auditions and putting more out on social media, and all the naysayers and negativity didn't hurt me as much as it would like 2 years ago. If I got some of the comments I got 2 years ago, I would like, I was crying every night.
I was cracking up at the TikTok. Was it TikTok?
Oh man,
these children are brutal.
We were in tears laughing at you. Comments about that.
These TikTok children
take a second to talk about that, because I actually always wanted to ask. So what is it that you posted something before about the children? Just like you have, first of all,
God.
you have
she
like,
read like
go
all their
viral or something
comments
on TikTok, but then you got these like hater kids or something.
Yeah, and these kids are, I literally have never met a meaner group of kids in my life. I'm like back in middle school crying on the bus on the way home. But it was like, anything you put out on TikTok, the kids are gonna like. It's unbelievable. I literally like, what? The 12-year-old is like roasting me so hard.
Oh gosh.
It's so mean. Some of these kids, you want to like fire back. I'm like, okay, he's 11. Like, it's okay. He just got a bad score on his history test. Like, it's okay, Sam. You don't need to take it personally. But, it's just, if one of your videos goes viral, it's like this thing where it's like funny where all the kids like write what they think you look like. Okay. So, and of course I have a big mouth. So like kids are just like, CEO of Titans of Assassins or whatever. Or apparently it's like this cartoon with this huge mouth that eats all these people. Oh my God.
You twist that and you're like, I didn't know what this was. And then I
don't know what this is. And I look it up, it's like this monster with a huge mouth that like eats people. I'm like, great, thanks.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and like some other person just the other day, I apparently look like the kid from Stranger Things, They were like, oh, looks like the kid from Stranger Things got his teeth back. I was like,
oh my God.
It's crazy though. Your ability to be able to talk about it and laugh about that creates so much space for other people to be vulnerable and be able to accept, because there's a lot of like darkness and hatred out there, right? And people are gonna, when you start putting yourself out there, you're gonna be hit on that. So the fact that talking about that, people are gonna resonate and be like, okay, it's not that big a deal, because we're also conditioned to put our value in other people's things and thoughts. Even if we don't know them. I mean, that's such a journey you've like had to go through and overcome. So them hearing you say that is huge.
Oh my God. There will be, I'll post a video and there'll be like 20 comments. They'll be like, you know, love it, great job. But then there's one comment that's like, you suck. And I'm like, oh no.
This was like that.
I like that too. Like when we started growing this Maegical movement and like I put my story out there.
Yeah.
Like, I was very vulnerable doing that. And like, yes, most people resonated.
98% will be nice.
But then, yeah, there's always those.
There's always one.
Why are you in this group? Bye. Like, whatever. Talk to the hand.
Totally.
Okay. Deep breath.
Like-
Go within.
It's just other people projecting their own insecurities.
Totally. And that's
better about themselves.
And that's what I had, because there was a time, like I think back when I was 50 pounds overweight and really insecure about myself, I would, not that I never went to lengths to write it, but I would think in my head like, oh, this bitch, like, oh, she's so cool, you know, like, you're not that great, Carol. But, you know, like, because I was so upset with myself. So I'm like, it's just the old Sam, you know, they'll be fine, you know, give them positive energy. Let go, let God. It's gonna be okay. It'll be fine. But yeah, no, that was the
bring us up to speed. What are you doing now? What are you working on? I mean, I see you singing all the time. I see you going in. You have a band. You have a band. You're doing open mics. You're doing all kinds of stuff. Like, yeah, bring us up to speed on what you're working on. What are your current projects?
Oh my God. I will do anything that will put me on stage and not get me arrested, basically.
Nice.
I'm like, open mics, I'll sing, I'll do comedy. But I mean, my dream, and of course, you know, I think one of the other things too I found like in this journey of refining myself and what I love to do is like fall in love with this process. You know, like I think this journey of like doing what I love. Like I love just posting stuff on Instagram and doing lives and singing on my front steps for like my 10 neighbors who are like sticking their heads out the window. You know, like that. So it's like I mean, if I could make this a full-time career, yeah, that would be amazing. That would be the end goal. I'm trying to write my own show right now.
Nice.
It'll be like a one-woman show basically with all of my songs. So I write music too, and I write comedy songs, and I do comedy. So the idea would be to do like like some sort of like one-woman show, you know, have some friends that join in too, but do, you know, like stand-up material and write, you know, be able to play piano, guitar, play and sing at the same time. It's gonna be like everything that I love, like in one. But I'm in a band, you know, again, right now I'm doing as much as I can on social media, creating my own stuff and just trying to create and make, especially right now, like trying to just make people laugh and feel good and get their minds off of what's, you know, all the negative stuff. Yeah.
I'm like, you need to be at one of our events. Like, you're amazing.
I know.
Thank you. I'd love to. When you
Yeah.
So whenever we get to have events again.
I know. We're just planning our first Maegical events around Austin, and we're gonna go around the U.S. after that, and then all this
travel.
So,
it's
that
okay.
would be amazing.
So I was looking at the form you filled out. You attributed some healing to CBD and kale. I don't think I was.
Yeah.
Speak more on those, because you know we've heard. You know,
I hate it though.
Right.
It's like the one green that I'm like, I like kale chips.
But there's been some cool studies on CBD and its healing potential. Tell us your experience with that, and if there's like a specific brand that's worked best for you.
Yeah.
So that's a good question. When I was like weaning myself off, the last kind of prescription that I was on was the Talipram, and because I'd been on that, you know, for so long, you really have to be careful when you're weaning yourself off of it.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted something too that I knew that was natural, that I would feel good about being able to take, that would help heal my body. I did a lot of research on CBD, and I had tried a bunch. I mean, I tried like, it was kind of like the Wild West when CBD first came out. Like it was like, you know, even now you can buy it at gas stations.
It's
you
the
know,
devil's
it's like,
lettuce. Be careful. That's the marijuana. It's gonna get you high.
Yeah, exactly. So there's all these preconceived notions about it, but I found a company. I use Live Labs. I don't know if have you guys ever heard of them?
No, huh?
I've not heard of that.
But that was the first CBD that I noticed that really made a difference for me when it came to sleeping, because I still have like, it's hard for me to shut it off. You know, I still that even now, I mean, I really need to make a schedule at night where I'm like, okay, turn my phone off. I need to turn off devices. Because I could just go and go and go.
I'm like that.
He drives me crazy with making a schedule. Where I'm like, we're in quarantine. Why do we have to make a damn schedule?
I'm very extroverted also.
We can sleep in.
If I don't have a schedule, I'll just be all over the place. So I am.
He's like, so at 6:45, I'm gonna wake up and make our celery juice. Then I'm gonna wake you up at this time, and then we're gonna do our meditation
I have to have the schedule.
Same. I will have to.
Not like that at all.
I'm way more efficient when I have a schedule.
I mean, I do like to work out in the morning when I don't have like injury stuff. I like to work out and do a meditation afterwards. Like that's about as far as it goes, though. Like,
yeah, I'm with you, David. I have to have like, I need to like know like by like, all right, it's 11 o'clock. This is my time. Like it's part of the routine. At 11 o'clock, I turned it off. I know, but I'm just, if I don't have it,
whatever works for you.
Yeah, I'll go like, I'll just be like, well, I can stay up till 2 a.m. You know, I'm being like a teenager. I need rules.
Yeah.
I need rules. But that one, I really did. It's Live Labs. And it's more of like the subcutaneous, like it's like I never saw the pills and stuff.
It's
I never found,
like
it's drops, like under the tongue. Yeah. And that I know that really helps.
Sleep. That helps your sleep.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'll try that. I'll try that. I used a brand called Vegemins that helped with my pain when I was having like my ligament joint stuff, and it was like a godsend. But if my mom hears that, she's gonna be like, because my mom sells CBD.
She does.
So I gotta give a shout out to her Zalise, because
she's big into that.
Yeah, it's helped her a lot though.
Yeah.
So I'm a big
cool.
CBD though.
Yeah,
overall.
and CBD.
Yeah, totally. There's so many brands.
That's helped your sleep because we haven't really found one that's done that yet. So that's cool.
Yeah. Because even melatonin, I was taking that for a while, and that can get a little addictive in a way too, or your body can really get used to that. So I try to not do that as much as possible. I thought CBD was really great.
So how's your sleep now? Is it better?
So it's better. I think right now it's kind of crazy just because like my schedule is all up in the air. But
it's like a weird energy with the collective too right now. That could be affecting your sleep.
I think I think everyone right now.
This coronavirus, this whole pandemic.
A new world.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to tell you something because I mean, now you're open to this, so you're probably not going to think it's that weird.
Totally.
But I healed my insomnia through feng shui. Swear.
It's the craziest thing.
Swear. Girl, I swear to you, I talked to an intuitive that told me, and then it told me to, and I tried everything for my sleep. And she was like, so do you know anything about feng shui or have any feng shui maps? I'm like, no. And she was like, yeah, so is your master bathroom attached to your bedroom? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, do you leave your toilet lit up? And I'm like, probably, because David goes in there, right? So I'm like, well, probably. And then she's like, do you leave your door to the bathroom open at night? I'm like, yeah. So like at night I can like not hit my face on the door when I'm going to the bathroom. She's like, no. Keep your toilet lids shut at all times because of the energy flow. Keep the door to the bathroom shut. And then she was like, are your feet, when you're laying in your bed, are your feet facing the bed, your bedroom door? And I'm like, yes, that's like literally only place for the bed to go in this room, the way that it's laid out, you know?
Yeah.
She's like, no. She was like, you need to get a feng shui map. You need to move your bed where your feet are not facing the door. So I did all this, and my room actually looks better. And I started sleeping, and get this shit.
It's the
one
energy
night,
flow of the house.
get this shit. So then one night I woke up because like after 2 weeks I was sleeping great for like the first time in 20 years. Like, girl, I hadn't slept in 20 years, and I like had insomnia again. I'm like, no, like what? And I go to the bathroom. The freaking toilet seat was up. I shut it, and within 5 minutes I was asleep like a baby.
It's crazy.
So now I've gone through my entire house and used feng shui maps and moved everything around according to
what?
way. And the energy flow in the home is different. And now I sleep like I've never slept before in 20 years.
Yeah, we'll have to send you some stuff because it's crazy.
I mean,
It's
look it
yeah.
up. It's
look
crazy.
it up. All
and
stuff's
if you're
online.
creative, you're going to have fun redecorating anyway. If you're like me, like I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Girl, try it.
Wow.
Hopefully it helps
That's
you.
crazy.
It does sound crazy, but I'm like, she's into open energy.
Yeah,
market.
totally. No. I'm totally interested.
Yeah.
One of my friends actually just got certified in that. I've been meaning to have her. It's hard right now though, the craziness, but yeah.
Yeah. I want to learn more about it too because it's just
Totally.
Yeah.
And people that have issues with sleep are usually open to trying anything at this point. Like,
well, yeah.
For sure.
Right.
Put the toilet seat down. It's not like that's life-changing.
Right.
Oh, I have to think about this
It's
one.
like crazy cuckoo things are the things that actually work.
I know, the things that we think don't work.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So random question on this, but have you ever experimented or experienced plant medicine or psychedelics?
I haven't, and I wish I had.
We gotta ask everyone. We're about of our foundation is based off of
I had a lot of healing with that.
Spiritual experiences on that.
I really want to. Did you guys see Goop? Obviously, did you watch like the Goop?
Oh, we did. After we just recently watched that.
Yeah.
I'm now like I have wherever they did that crazy the mushrooms and wherever they were. I gotta do it.
Yeah.
I would totally do it. I just haven't had the opportunity, but I totally would.
So
I haven't.
To hear
mushrooms would be a good one to start with. Like for me, they've been the safest. They've been the
easiest to control.
But they've been the most pleasant experience. Ayahuasca was the opposite of pleasant, but the outcome was a godsend for me. But
incredibly healing.
It was not fun. I dread doing it again, but like I'm still on that healing journey.
Mushrooms
so like
are a great
I'm
one to
going
start
to, but yeah.
Interesting. I'm really interested in it someday. When I get the opportunity, I would totally do it.
As creative as you are too, that would be awesome.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we would love our audience to be able to connect with you because you've so much.
Love that.
Tell us where can they find you? Because where can they find you online? We're also going to publish any links you want to publish. We'll publish those with this podcast. But tell us where they can find you, where you'd like to be reached.
Yeah, I mean, right now, probably the biggest, the biggest platform I'm on is Instagram. I know that's very basic, but
that's
Instagram
great.
is where I post a lot of my stuff. I do use YouTube and obviously try to use TikTok when I'm not crying in the fetal position by the children of TikTok. But I am on TikTok, Sam Ramsdell 5, on all platforms, Sam Ramsdell 5. So RAMSDELL. So Instagram, Sam Ramsdell 5. That's probably the best place. And then if I do post YouTube, I'll post links on there and stuff for you to check out.
I forgot to ask this question, which I think is an important one. If there's someone that was struggling with being on prescription meds or being in that place where they're not really feeling like they're living their own life, what's some advice you would give them?
I mean, I think as like basic as this is like, and I talked about this earlier, it's like putting yourself first, is like making yourself a priority.
That's awesome.
Because I think if you're in that headzone, you're putting everyone else before yourself. A lot of those that I talked to that had, that were overweight and relying on prescription medications, it was because there were, there's always an excuse for something else they had to be doing that they couldn't be doing for themselves. And I think if you can make that switch, which is a lot harder than, it's easier said than done. But when you start to make that mental switch and start making your mental health and physical health a priority, I think so many doors will open for you and you'll become so much more confident and you'll start exploring things that you love and you'll start to find what you really love when you start making that.
That's great advice. And so everyone deals with that because even though I get it and like for years ago, I started doing my meditation and my affirmation writing every day. And I did it like you, dedicated. Once I saw that it worked, I stepped into I got out of medical sales, even though I made a lot of money and I wanted to move up. I got out because I felt called to help people. And so then I got into life coaching. Well, once I got into life coaching, man, I realized what you're saying. I was helping all these other people, but my energy, and I'm an empath, my energy was going to helping so many other people that I was like, I am letting myself go now.
Yeah.
And I could feel it. And I was aware of it and I had to do what you're saying to get no, I need to fill up my cup first so I can help these people.
Right.
So even people that get it and are on the right path, they go through little funks, like I just said. So that's great advice for anyone that's listening.
Yeah, I feel like it's so basic and it sounds so easy, but it's like if you start doing things for yourself every day and making your health a priority mentally and physically, you'll notice relationships get better, your job gets better, you start being more creative, you feel better, you sleep better.
In the right place at the right time. Opportunities fall in your lap. Law of attraction is a real law.
Literally.
100%.
Yeah.
Well,
This is fun. I love you.
Yeah. I knew this is going to be a fun one. We always end with one question. She may have already answered it, but I'm going to ask it anyway because we ask this question on every podcast at the very end.
Okay.
If you could leave the world with one message, what would you leave the world with?
You already know what you need.
Oh, I love that.
That's good. No one's ever said that.
That's awesome.
That's
I love that one.
Because I feel like that was the biggest thing I took from the energy work. It's like, you already know. Like, you know. Like, you
Deep
know what
down,
you need to do. Yeah, you know.
The answers are within. Yep.
Totally. It's always there. It's there. You got to find it. You got to search it. You got to work a little bit, but it's in there.
Thank you so much for your time, Sam. You were awesome. Yes. We can't wait to keep creeping on you every day on Instagram and watching your rise to stardom.
Oh, thank you guys.
You have a great day, Sam. It was awesome.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye guys.